Yeah, here we are. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know what when you're going to listen to this podcast, but um, today I have a very special guest, and it's pretty cool. But I just want to share something with you. Last week we had an awesome guest from San Francisco, and so today I'm going to kind of share with you some of his information. We're going to introduce our special guest. But listen, what you need to do is you need to step into the world of coffee roasting, because with their coffee, it's just not craft, but a cherished family tradition. At Henry's House of Coffee, located in San Francisco's Sunset District, which is a very cool district, Harag Karabajin continues his father's legacy that began in the vibrant markets of Lebanon. And if you get a chance to listen to the podcast, you'll understand that. With every batch expertly roasted, Henry's coffee is not just a beverage, easy for you to say after you've had a gallon of it, but a gateway to rich history of coffee excellence dating back to 1965. Every cup is promised to have a unique blend and culture of quality. And believe me, I've tested it. It is really good stuff. So for those of you who want to bring this experience home, visit henryshouseofcoffee.com. It's a must. Use the coupon code today as the Go Biz Guy for 5% $5 discount on the first purchase. Experience the 3 generations of coffee roasting tastes like. And there are many in coffee. I could go on and on, but really good folks. And so get you some. Well, today I have an interesting guest, and I've known her for a while, and there's a story behind one of her products, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But today I'd like to introduce to you an entrepreneur friend, Tara Gibson. Tara, congratulations to be on the podcast. Yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
Lauren. Thank
So,
you so
what is your
much. I'm
favorite
glad to be
Bible
here.
verse?
Oh, goodness. I would have to say, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of
Amen.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I know
That
that
is,
we talked
yeah.
earlier just a second ago about God's love and everything, and I want to exude that, but sometimes I don't know whether doing battle for God is a good thing, and I want to try to. I don't know whether I want to hate the sin and love the sinner, but there's a very ongoing process with that in today's society. What do you think?
Yeah, of late, I have come down on the side of, it is not my job to be anybody's Holy Spirit. It is my job to love people.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that that is what it's the goodness of God that leads people to repentance. It's the kindness of God. And that word kindness actually means kin,
Mm-hmm.
letting them know that God is their father. They are a child of God. And that's what's going to lead them into being friends with God. So that's where I am. I just want to love people and let them know God loves them.
Amen. And you know, it's I don't really saw my post today on Facebook, but it talks about the things that Christians have difficulties with. You know, we have difficulties with anger, we have difficulties with a lot of things, but we're saved by grace because we're not perfect people, and
Yeah.
we're not, and we
Yeah.
have the mercies of God. As we go through
Yeah.
difficulties like we both have been going through, God's grace is way sufficient for us to navigate and everything. So it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, right.
Thank God.
So let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
getting some background information because where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in South
Okay.
Point, Ohio, and actually, my mom, just me and my mom. My dad died when
Oh my
I was
gosh, I
19
did not
months
know
old,
that.
and yeah, and so my mom, we lived in Michigan at the time, and she packed me up and all of our stuff and moved back here, which was closer to my brother and sister who were grown and gone from home at the time. My mom was 44 when she had me, so I
Yeah,
was kind
right.
of a
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
surprise.
What happened here? Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but then
uh,
she lost my dad, and it was just she and I, and here we went. And she had to find a way to make a living, so she opened
really?
ceramic
Okay.
shop. And yeah, and that little ceramic shop supported both of us through, I mean, that's what she did for the rest of her life. And it supported us, and I grew up, around that and helping her run the business. And I loved it. And come to find out, well, I moved to
Mm-hmm.
Columbus when I got married and moved back here in 2008. And I still live in that same house. And so where my mom, I was working the other day in my business and I stopped and realized, oh my gosh, my 2 feet are standing exactly where my mom's 2 feet stood when
Wow.
she worked on her business. So it was a really, yeah, it was
Uh,
a very interesting moment. And
sure.
actually, it brought tears to my eyes because I
Bless your
lost my
heart.
mom a
Because
few years ago.
I
So
think what's interesting is I think, and I could have a couple sharing stories, but I think even stepping in to your mom's steps there, I think those are God moments. And I think that he gives you
yeah,
I don't know the sobriety of it, but he gives you the reality of it that you're actually doing something for your mom on behalf of her, and I think yeah, so I think it's a cool thing
yeah,
when that happens. But so did she have a background of
yeah.
entrepreneurship? Was her family?
Well, turns out that I found out recently that my
Oh wow,
grandmother ran a boarding house. So yeah, it's a third generation, and I don't know, going back, maybe there had been other women entrepreneurs in my family line, but at least the 3 generations. So she kind of grew up around that, and so did I, and now here I'm
and I
going, and
I,
my
I
kids are growing up
think
around it.
I've always had the entrepreneur spirit. Even when I worked for someone, I took
Yeah.
charge, and over the course of my career in sales, I knew nothing about the industries that I was selling for, nothing. Okay, but I bumped it up because I thought,
Yeah,
well, I'm going to make this work, and I learned about this, and I mean, I
exactly.
was a corporate trainer developer for a regional long distance company called Ram Technologies, and I didn't know anything about telecommunications, and before that, I was able to go down to the engineering room and bring pizza to the guys at the Capitol and learn about long distance, about how that switch worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned the technology by self educating myself, right? And
Yeah.
then the next day, I went out. I made 100 cold calls in the city of Charleston. Okay, and so
Mm-hmm.
with making 100 cold calls, I wasn't really astute in doing that. I just wanted to get to the business owner, and hence my entrepreneurship, was again kicking in. And so thereafter, I never had to make another sales call again, making those first 100 cold calls. And I
Wow.
was top salesperson. I was groomed by MCI, and then I came to this regional business company. And so anyway, I've been a $1.5 million earner of other companies. I mean, so it's interesting that I, you don't have to have an education. I lack 1 year of getting my bachelor's degree, and I went to Liberty University, and I was working on a psychology background, but I think
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times people don't understand, and now, were you always an entrepreneur? Let's back into that for a second. Okay.
No, no, I have a bachelor's in
Oh
interior
wow. Okay.
design. Yeah, I got that, graduated in 92, and I worked in that field for about 6 years in Columbus until my
Mm-hmm.
son was born. And then we made the decision I was going to stay home and with the kids and the other kids, the 3 others that came along. And So I was going to stay home and homeschool, which I was all about that. I was kind of an academic kind of a
Sure.
person in high school. And anyway, so I made that decision. But then as time went along, my husband was teaching at a Christian school, and the salary
Low.
was
Right,
extremely
yeah.
lacking there. So I was always looking for
Okay.
a way to contribute. And so I got into the rental property situation,
Okay.
and that was just, I mean, there's no other word to describe it other than
Okay.
a
Well,
disaster for
that
me.
sucks right there. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
it was bad, but you read these books, I remember
Yeah.
reading Robert
Right.
Kiyosaki, and he's like, if you're going to make it, you're probably going to go bankrupt at least once. And
Okay.
I did. So I checked
Next.
that off. And
Yeah.
next, it was just, I couldn't get people to pay their rent. And I made probably a poor decision, bought a bunch of properties in the
Sure.
war zone, and
Yeah.
it was just not good. So anyway, that ended. And so then I was still looking for a way. And so that's kind of, then I started what I'm doing now. So I wasn't always an entrepreneur, but that, like you said, that spirit was always there.
Because I do talk to a lot of people off and on of the podcast, and it's interesting that, excuse me, too much coffee and not enough Prilosec, I think. So, but but at any rate, I think it's important that I've got a son and a son-in-law that went to a 2-year degree program and learned union boiler boiler making stats and everything. That's how they graduated, with a degree in boiler making. So fast forward, they both of them work in the gas industry, and they're both making $150,000 a year playing Tetris on a computer, managing gas pressure all over the country. Okay, so oh my gosh,
Wow.
yes.
I had no
So
idea there was such a thing.
I really am an advocate that I think, I was executive director of junior achievement, and I just found out that Ashland has junior achievement. So I'd like to maybe teach a class in economics or whatever. But I think that we really need to teach our kids, or the school system, which is terrible, in my opinion. Glad that you homeschooled. I could never have done that. But I always had my kids in Christian schools, and so it was pretty cool. But I think that we need to give them an option for college. I think too many kids go to college for the wrong reasons.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. They're just buying a piece of paper, honestly,
They
for
are.
a lot of money that they don't have.
And they don't know what they
Yeah.
do when they get out. They're going to work at McDonald's. They're going to
Yes.
work at something else until they find
Yeah.
their mojo.
Yeah. It's a scam. I'm telling you.
Well, let's talk about that. Why do you think it's a scam?
Oh, I mean, there are some, professions where you have to have the college
Being a
degree,
doctor,
and that's
right?
all
Yeah.
well and good.
Yeah.
Right. Or a
Sure.
teacher, whatever. I understand. But so many kids are just they're just sold a bill of goods. You got to go to college and pay for this degree, and they're going to graduate with astronomical debt. And then, like you said, they don't know what they're going to do. And so many of them are stuck and can't find a job in their field. And then they're going to go this way. And, I just think it's way overrated.
Yes. And then, when I was executive director of junior achievement, it was interesting because I did some lobbying at the state level for giving the state of West Virginia free textbooks, free economic education materials, software. I had partnered with IBM. Our corporate office basically partnered with IBM. And so so come to find out that I had to go through the social studies department in order to do a learning outcome metrics of the learning, for economic education. Well, we met those, but then we started getting into the politics of education, and I just eventually bowed out. My board of directors wasn't really excited about that, but there was too much bureaucracy in order to offer them something free, and to get people to know that there's an option to college. And
Yeah, that's what I just wish that it was sold as this is an option, not you're going to be a failure if you don't buy a degree. I have nothing against formal education, and goodness knows teachers are incredible. Some of the most incredible
Right.
people I know are teachers, and what the hell they pour into the kids and all that. And I hate, sometimes people hear I'm a
No,
homeschooler and they think I'm against
no,
teachers,
not.
which
Yeah.
is not even in the least true. But anyway, yeah, I just wish that kids were told, here's another option besides
Right. I
a
mean,
college
I don't
degree.
know whether you know about the Roten boys in Huntington, West Virginia. That okay. Well, they're good friends of mine. Of course, because of martial arts,
Yeah.
I taught Sam as I
Yeah.
taught your son, and so what's interesting is
Uh-huh.
that I interviewed them, and I said, hey, listen, you guys gonna like dump this and go on to college? They said, heck no. We are set in our ways, and they do about $500,000 in revenue cutting grass. Okay, and yeah. So I know they're awesome,
Heck
and I
yeah.
like Tom.
Love that.
Tom
I
is a
love
good
those
friend of
boys.
mine as well. And so, what's interesting is that somebody
Yeah.
in Tays Valley, one of my daughter's friends, listened to that podcast. Well, he started a lawn care business in Tays Valley. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that again we go back to this communications of you. And I asked them, I said, you guys going to get married? They said, no, we can't get married now. We got to make this $1 million business before we get married.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And they
No,
will.
right, they will. And so I
Yeah.
just think that entrepreneurship and being a business um, is part of my DNA, but it's also part of my DNA to convey this as much as I can. And anytime I have a politician that's tied to education, I really run this pretty fast in front of them. But I do think there needs to be an option, and I think having parents as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, and let's kind of dive into that. So you think your kids are all going to be entrepreneurs?
Um, no, but they do. I just had one
Yes.
graduate nursing
Yeah.
school, but she's always thinking, you know, oh, I could do that as a side gig. And she's just starting her career, but she still thinks that because I've tried to teach her that. And then
Yes.
Miles, my son, he actually works for my
How
company.
cool is
That's what he does full
that?
time. So it's,
Tell him I said
I
hello
know,
because
I
that is
know.
so
It has
cool. Yeah,
grown.
that is awesome.
I
Yes.
will.
Yeah.
He always did love you. Yeah. So I'm blessed that it's been able to grow to that level, to be able to begin to support him. And then my two younger girls, I have a 17 and a 15. Um, the 17-year-old in particular probably would be the most likely to be an entrepreneur as she gets older. She wants to
Okay.
kind of follow in my footsteps, raise her
Okay.
kids, homeschool her kids, and she's very interested in,
I love it.
you think I
I
could,
love it.
do what
Yep.
you do or help you, or yeah, so that's good. And she's currently does some work for me, on a piecework basis, and she's loves to do that and use that for her coffee
She's a
money.
true
So
blue. So, but but it is
yeah, she
interesting that
is.
again you've created a culture within your own family, and I think that it resonates. I mean, for Miles to be a part of that. What's interesting is because you're going to see if he's got any moxie or sales experience, he's going to grow the business for you and with you. Okay, and I think that it's just tremendous that
Yeah.
you brought him in. Now, does he have a degree, Miles? Okay.
He actually, yes, he does. He has a bachelor's
Oh my
in
gosh!
video game
Wow.
design of all
So he
things.
could do a side gig. He could do a side gig of
Yeah, but he
video stuff,
just
right?
Yeah, he could. When he graduated, it was right during COVID, and he was seeing that he may, need to move to California to do anything in his field, and was unsure about doing that. And I said, well, I've got all this work here if you want to do that in the meantime. And so he's just jumped on that and has stayed with that. So
Sure.
just like me, I have a degree that I
Well, it's
used for
funny
6 years
because
and never
I was
used again,
talking to a guy at church Sunday, just a very intelligent kid, and he's got a lot of stuff going on, and he just got a new job, and he's got a degree in youth ministries and a second degree in business management. He said, you know what, it sucks. He said, I don't even use my degrees. He said, you know, God's never brought me into youth ministry. He said,
Yeah.
if I was to do it all over again. And he said, what's
Mm-hmm.
interesting is that I had an interview, and the interview was based on me having a college education. Step number one. Step number two was that they asked me about my
Uh-huh.
experience in data. I have no experience in data, right? But they wanted to
Uh-huh.
know more about my managerial experience, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, and
Yeah.
so the degree isn't that interesting because the degree played real havoc him getting an interview at this large company, and it's owned by a female, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. But I told him because he's got entrepreneur skills, and I said, listen, Tyler, do yourself a favor and kick butt inside of that company and use your entrepreneur skills to get to the next level. And I said, to be honest, I said,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, it's all about the money. I said, last time I gave somebody that owned a corporation $1 million idea and I never got a bit of commission for that idea. I really hold ideas close to me, but I said, you know, you can do this. I mean, you can climb the ladder because he's in anyway. It's a really good story because I think entrepreneurship is something that you can use inside of all kinds of stuff if you have that determination. Yeah.
Oh, oh gosh, yes. I mean, that's
Yes.
what business
Yeah.
owners are looking for. You know, really and truly, they think they're looking for somebody with X degree, but two candidates can have that same degree and be a world of difference in the type of employees they are. And if they've got that kind of entrepreneurial bent to them, they're going to be a much better
Exactly. I
employee no
mean,
matter what
like I
they're
told
doing.
you, every job that I've had, I knew nothing about the industries. Okay, and I just think that
Mm-hmm.
I was able to turn on a dime, and I think that, and I was one of these guys. You know, when you did $1.5 million, nobody had to babysit me, right? I mean, I worked out of my house for a long time. I've had, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had good businesses, I've had bad businesses, like you have. Okay, and I think that we learn from all of those things.
For sure.
I don't think it's a matter of we just have a focus. We've lost money in this deal, and now we're not going to go down any other road, right?
Right.
But
Yeah,
I think failure is success turned inside out, and
it is.
so yeah, so people don't realize if you fail, you're never going to gain anything else.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. It's just one way you found that didn't work and go try the next
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your product line because it's interesting that I kind of turned you on to LEMS. Okay, you know, and
Yeah.
so that was pretty
Yes.
cool. I mean, you were buying coffee from me, and then I turned you on to LEMS, and now you own the company. I mean, tell me a little bit about that transition, if you will.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I was representing Lem's Meat Varnish on Amazon and it was doing well. And, just kind of befriended Chris Lemon, the owner, the founder,
No,
the
right?
legend who created
Yeah,
the
some good stuff.
recipes.
Yeah.
And, and, oh, it's so good. And then when, I don't know, last year, he just texted me and said, "Hey, would you have any interest in buying my company?" And so we just talked from there
Wow.
and
Okay.
I ended up doing it. So it's going great. We're, expanding. We've got stuff in the Charleston
Right.
area
Right.
Kroger stores and some other different stores, moving and expanding and always working on that. Still doing it online and so all that, and it's going really well. People are fiercely loyal to those barbecue sauces where he's won so many competitions all over. And I have people messaging me, "Do you have it
Oh
anywhere
my
I'm
gosh,
willing
an
to
hour or
drive an
two.
hour or two to
Wow.
get it?" And
Okay.
I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Well,
Yeah.
just order
Yeah.
on the website. It's a lot better for you. It'll come straight to your door. You don't have to worry." But yeah, people are
So
fiercely
are you
loyal. So that's a good
manufacturing it?
thing.
Okay.
Well,
And
yeah,
where's
I
that
have a
located at?
co-packer that
Okay,
does it
Williamsburg. Okay.
in
Okay. All right.
Wheelersburg, Wheelersburg, Ohio. Yeah. They're a local business down there, really good.
Oh, how
He
cool.
actually
All right.
pastors a church in Ironton, but this is their main business. It's
Oh my
called
gosh.
Pastor's Pantry
Wow.
Cooking
I'd
School
like to go to that
down
school,
there,
right?
and co-packers. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's a really cool place. They do it's almost like a Food Network show. You're watching and they're making all this really good food and you get to eat it. And
Yeah.
it's a really cool concept, but they do my co-packing for me for limbs and for fire syrup.
Okay,
I
leads us
found them
into
and
the next
they do a
product
great
line that
job.
you have, fire syrup. I mean, I saw that this morning and I said, is that like a margarita mix or is it like add fire to the margarita? I mean, I mean, it sounded like it was a heat product.
It is. It's yes. Well, the tagline
I
is a
love it.
sweet
Right.
hot
Yeah.
squirt of genius with 104 uses. So it's yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's a
Wow.
jalapeno, 3 ingredients, and it's anywhere you want to add a touch of sweet heat is what it is. So people use it a lot for cocktails. They'll use it
Tacos.
as tacos, put it on their pizza, on top of their ice cream, and their coffee, everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
lemonade. You
Wow.
can make, we've got a recipe on the website for fire pickles. They're just pickles with a little bit of heat in them. It's not really, really, really hot because I don't like hot food. And, but even me, I like the pickles and some things like that. But that's another one that I was representing them on Amazon for years.
Okay.
And they were located in New
Oh,
York.
wow.
And
Dang.
COVID put them out of business.
Oh, wow.
And for their main, whatever they were doing up there in New York. And so I went to place a wholesale order and they said, sorry, we're not going to be able to fulfill it. We're having to shut down. And I said, really? That's terrible. And we just got to talking and I said, what's the possibility of you selling me your recipe and your trademark? And we made a deal and the rest is history there. That one is really, really does really well on Amazon. And it's another thing that people just love. It's on Walmart and all that too, but it's for people who like hot foods, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm gonna have to give me some because I'm a big fan of hot food, and every time I get a pizza, I get jalapenos and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
You would love it.
yeah,
You would love it.
yeah, that's pretty
People
cool.
dip French fries in it.
Really? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to probably turn some friends on because we're of heat likes. So
Oh
yeah,
gosh. Yeah, you'd love it.
yeah, that's pretty cool. So did you have
Definitely.
to fly up to New York and do business with these guys?
Nope. We did it
All online.
all through email.
Okay.
Yep, we sure
All
did.
right.
And they just, shipped me a couple pallets of their remaining inventory and we did the trademark assignment and all that. And there we went.
So trademark, is that a complex issue to like take Lem's and then take theirs? And is there a time or an attorney that has to put some business to it?
Well, when I did fire serve, that's the first one that I did. I did use an attorney for the trademark assignment and he just looked it over to make sure there were no outstanding issues with it or anything and just kind of walked me through it. And we did that. And it just took a little bit of time with the USPTO to get that transferred over. And then with LIMS, honestly, I used ChatGPT to
Did you
do
really?
to
Okay.
just do the
Okay, that's
assignment.
cool. That
Yep.
makes
Yep.
that's
I
awesome that
yeah.
you use that.
Yeah, and I had the other one to
Sure.
base
The
it off of
information.
too,
Right.
so I could
Mhm.
right. Right. So and it definitely took some time and the hardest part about LIMS is getting the issues all fixed with Kroger.
Really?
Their system is really just, in my opinion, it is crazy. They use One World Sync for their
What?
product introduction, and I'm dealing with issues with that right now. And it's been going for almost a year, really, and I'm still
Well,
not settled
explain
with
to me.
that. So,
And I think I understand the concept because I think all major stores have this. And so, food fair. Friends of mine, Chad, he helped taught Miles in martial arts as well, but their family owns food fair, and so
Yeah, I still need to get
Well,
them
I'll
to
put
get
a
my
word in the
products in
chat.
their
So
stores.
the, but at any rate, his grandfather developed a software for the grocery industry, and that's how they made their first $1 million was doing
Hmm.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so what
Oh,
happens
wow.
is that
I
I
did not know
think
that.
the syncing of inventory versus purchasing is very unique. And I think if you don't have that dynamic in a retail environment, then you're going to get loaded up with not being able to serve the customer properly and or the vendor properly. So is that kind of the headache you're having with the syncing?
Yeah. Well, it was first just trying to get everything transferred into my name, which was
Okay.
impossible to figure out who I needed to speak to. And that was months long process. And then now, honestly, I've
With
had to
barcodes?
re-upload all my products into their
Barcode your
system,
okay.
and I went to restock. Yeah, all the barcodes, well, they remained the same, but
Okay. All right, that makes
I had to
sense.
re-upload them because the business transferred. Anyway, Miles and I went to restock product last week in the Charleston area, and everything scanned in as
That
discontinued,
sucks.
and
Right. Yeah.
I was unable to
Yeah.
restock. And so it's risking the relationship with all those stores, and the guy won't respond to me from Kroger. And I'm pretty frustrated,
Well,
but that's okay. I'm
and
gonna
it is
pursue.
tough. I mean, I don't know whether you, I mean, I don't know how you do your customer service stuff, whether you see these guys in person or whatever the case might be. But I think it's really rude, and I would like for you guys to have it up here in Ashland, Kroger's, and I mean,
Yeah,
because that would be a nice market. There's one in Flatwoods.
that's the
Yeah, okay,
goal.
all right. The Flatwoods one is better than the one kind of in town. The Ashland store is a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. So
Agree. Yeah.
you've been to both of them, I'm sure, because you live where you live, and so.
Yes.
I think that people that are in management, I think Kroger's. I almost had my coffee in all the Piggly Wigglies across the country, and I was going to have my pods in there, and just things went south with my coffee company. But I was really trying to get it into places like Kroger's and like food fair and stuff. But it was difficult. It was very difficult to get into that
Hmm.
market. Um,
Yeah, it is. Chris Lemon warned me, when I purchased limbs, he said, when you get to dealing with Kroger, he said, I'm telling you, it's months and months and months to get anything done. And so I was kind of prepared, and I thought everything was going well. We were stocking every couple of weeks. Everything was just going like clockwork. And then bam, surprise. So
Well,
I don't
well,
know what's going
and
on,
you
but
know
it'll be
what?
okay.
This is freaking going into summer months, man. I mean, you know, these yeah, these
I know,
people. I
of
mean,
all
they
the
can make some
times.
money off of those products if I mean, I don't understand why they would rock the
Yeah,
boat, per se. But I think it's pretty stupid because
I
I
don't
think
either.
um, my wife and I, we were foodies, and we would grill out all the time. And I bought some lambs at different Krogers and stuff, and so I think that people really want to experiment, and I think that the demographics would be really
Yeah.
good in Krogers. Because and the one in Barbersville, I mean, that's a very high end Kroger's. The one in Tays Valley, very high end.
Yeah.
I thought you would.
I do really well at Tays Valley, and was yeah, and was just getting ready to get it into Barbersville. Finally got the manager there. Chris used to have it in there, and so I had contacted him, and he said when we get close to summer, and now I've got this issue. So I don't know. I'm just praying and believing that this guy at
Right.
Kroger is going to call me back and help me get it figured out, because it's just a glitch in their system. It's
Yeah,
just
right. I
something
mean,
simple, but I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know. I think sometimes when I've had issues with technology or whatever, it's really slowed down the process of selling, and you want to like put the hammer
Yeah.
down and make it work. And so, sometimes even seeing these people in person, I dealt with Kroger's in Barbersville for a while, and I was about ready to list some coffee in
Hmm.
there, and I forget the manager's name that I worked with, but it took me 30 days to get him to call me back, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can relate to that whole process of having battles dealing with certain people. So let me ask you something. Where would you like to take the business in the next 2 years?
Well, I've got, like I said, I also represent a bunch of other brand owners on Amazon.
Like,
So that, such as, well, it's a lot of, like I have a candy company that's
okay,
out of North Carolina called Butterfields, and I do all their Amazon representation and really nice people down there. And I've been working with them for a long time. And a few years ago, she said, you know what, I'm just going to let you take over this part. And I also do, I have a granola company out
wow,
of Utah, and I have a
okay,
Shiloh Farms and Pure Living uh, organic and sprouted grains. They're a huge company.
okay,
Um, and so, I have pallets of their stuff coming in all the time. And so my goal is to increase the brands that I work with. And I would like, my dream would be to grow it to a place where I could employ anybody in my family that needed or wanted a job, friends that needed or wanted a job. I do have a friend of mine who does the overflow prep work that Miles can't, that it's too much for us
yeah,
here. She does that. So, I'm able to help her family. And I, I just would like to be able to do that, to use it as an opportunity to help
good for you.
people. So,
That's a pure motive, to be honest with you. I mean, I think money's good, and you gotta crunch the numbers so that you know that the ROI is specific, and then you can move
mhm.
forward with some goals and expectations and everything. But when I had a consulting business, I I was charging about $250 an hour for my services, and like I said,
Mhm.
I basically have an MBA in experience. I don't have an MBA by the paper, but we worked with attorneys,
Yeah.
firms, putting in phone systems. I had five people that were consultants. The nice thing about it is I had fun with them, and I handpicked them, and I always treated them really well.
Mhm.
I always, my goal was to give them cars and just grow the business. And some things happened, and we weren't able to do that.
Yeah.
And so, but I think you're spot on. I think if you have those goals, I think they're going to grow. And having good people, I don't want to stick. I didn't want to stick a sign out in the newspaper that I'm hiring consultants because it's just not going to work. I think you're
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with good people, the people that know you, the people that your family, and so yeah, you're going to build a legacy. To be honest with you, that's what you're doing, Tara, right now is building a legacy.
Yeah, I like the way you put it. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And I'm super thankful for my business. I was able to do it even while homeschooling my kids, but now with,
Hush.
wee, somebody is excited.
Yeah. That's why I don't edit my podcast because of my boys. So
There you
yeah.
go. But now with going through this completely unexpected and not wanted divorce, I I'm faced with a whole plethora
Yes.
of, am I going to be able to make it? It's all on me now, and it's unbelievably scary.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm super thankful that at least I have something I have the opportunity to grow.
And I think sometimes during those difficult times, it makes you dig in a little bit deeper, but both on the
Yeah.
spiritual side and the physical side, in order to cope
Hmm.
with the crap that you're going through. Okay, and I
Yeah.
think that like I'm going to start back up in martial arts today, this evening, and I haven't done that for 10 months because my
Well,
wife
good for
was
you.
ill. And so I think, yeah, I
Right.
think you have to just go on, and all the crap that we have to go through is not very convenient to make adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. But looking back, I can see God's hand. He gave me
Yes.
this opportunity, and he has allowed me to grow it to the point where
Nope.
we're not going to
Mm-mm.
starve. And, and we've got an opportunity to
Right.
go even further. And I'm just so thankful that I'm not a newly divorced woman with kids still living in my home with no income and no
That's
idea of how to
scary.
get an
Okay.
income.
So there's a lot of women out there that are going
Oh my
through that.
goodness.
So how would you coach them
Yeah.
if you were to coach somebody that's going through that right now?
Oh my goodness. If they were just
Mm-hmm.
stuck with nothing, oh, I would probably just encourage them to, maybe give them a
Okay.
couple of Facebook groups to join, and just start educating
Mm-hmm.
yourself on what's possible online. Because there are definitely opportunities, and some of it is, you hear it and you think there is no way. But I started this whole selling online thing in 2008, selling a few
Oh,
toys that
wow.
I found at garage sales on eBay. And I worked like crazy for 4 months during the fourth quarter, 3 months. And when Christmas was over, I added up my my profit, and I just about cried because I made $100. And I was
Yeah,
like,
right?
okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is a
yeah,
failure.
yeah.
This is not worth it. But I grew and I learned and I went from there, and it was like you said, it was not wasted time.
And
Preparation
I
time
think
is
a
not
lot of
wasted
people
time.
that consider doing what you just said, I think women think that they have to go work at McDonald's, and I think that they forget about it, and which is okay. I mean, especially if you're working in California, you make $20 an hour.
Yeah.
But you may end up shutting that McDonald's
Yeah.
down because they can't afford you. But that's a whole nother story. But I think that there's a lot of people out
Right.
there that don't know about entrepreneurship, and they don't know about how to turn on a dime to maybe start
Yeah.
selling things on eBay or whatever. And I think that, and I believe in chamber of commerces too, but I think there's not a lot of programs out there to help people make a decision to move forward
Yeah.
and possibly sell things, in order to make a living. And they
Yeah.
think that
It's kind of
it
scary.
is, yeah, because and I
Yeah.
think what happens in life in general is an element of faith. Okay, that
Mhm.
we manage. Well, we try to manage God's presence, but in a deep dark place, and we want to kind of manage in a deep dark place of unknowing. Faith is very difficult to grab a hold of, and because we want to
Mhm.
manage everything. we, yeah, I
Yep.
want
I
to
want to
know, right?
know.
Because yeah, I mean, numbers will speak
Yeah.
volumes of what you want to know, but
Exactly. You
yeah,
just tell me exactly what to do
yeah,
to make it
yeah.
happen, and I'll do it.
And but I always encourage people to walk through those doors being an entrepreneur. I mean, if you can grow this business, Wegmans, okay, if you want to get into Wegmans up in New York, frickin' do that because that's your
Mhm.
marketplace. I don't know if you've ever been to Wegmans in New York. Uh, but they're all scattered
I
in
have not.
Fairfax, Virginia. They're an upscale place, and I think you would just rock it. Okay, and I wish there was a Wegmans here because it would put everybody to shame in terms of their grocery store. Okay, it is like a tourist attraction, Tara.
Wow.
I mean, when you walk in there, oh yeah, yeah. When you walk in there, man, you'll go, oh,
Really?
am I in a grocery store? And so, yeah, Google that information and you and Miles make a trip up to New
I
York and let me know how
will.
that goes. So, but yeah, I think there's lots of chances to
Yeah.
grow, and so I just just like his podcast. I mean, I met with some guys not
Agreed.
too long ago that I'm gonna transform my platform and do a lot of things, and it's gonna cost me a little bit of money, but my podcast will grow based on these guys and the technology that the good Christian videographers and they counsel me. They have a studio in Ashland, and I'll be doing some live stuff and interviewing people. I mean, I my friend in Utah. I mean, he's going to probably get me in touch with Daryl Strawberry, and I don't know whether you know the name in baseball, but he had a very difficult life, and he's now a pastor. Um, I'm
Mhm.
talking to Sugar Ray Leonard's son, and he's going to be on the podcast. Okay. So,
Wow.
so I think
It's
it is
exciting.
exciting, and that's why this podcast comes from my heart. It doesn't come from I want to help entrepreneurs, but I also want to help um, promote small businesses around the world because I'm in 25 foreign countries and I'm scattered all over the country. Okay. And God has allowed
Yeah.
me to do a lot of things. And it's all for his glory, not mine. And so I'm pretty
Amen.
excited about it. So listen, you have any
Yes.
last words of encouragement, or what do you want to say?
I would just like to tell people
Okay.
take the
All right. I
plunge,
like that.
and don't be afraid of failure. Do not be afraid of failure. It's just one more way that doesn't work, and you can keep going. That's about all.
Do not be afraid. Take the plunge. Okay. So that's going to be my tagline when I
Yeah.
introduce you. Okay. And I think, yeah, it's so
There you
cool.
go.
And so let me kind of close out and I'll say goodbye to you. I just want to listen again. You guys need Henry's House of Coffee. Okay. For those who wish to bring this experience home, visit henryshouseofcoffee.com. It's a must. Use the coupon code the Go Biz Guy for a $5 discount for your first purchase. Experience what 3 generations of coffee roasting tastes like. And so, Tara, listen, thank you so much. Give my best to Miles. Give him a hug and tell him I said hey.
Thank
And
you.
just thank you so much for your time
Will
today. I
do.
really appreciate you. All right, take care. You too.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Lauren. I appreciate the opportunity.